Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Tuesday to get tickled and talk some pro wrestling punditry. It's our good friend from Second City, Chicago. Now, no longer Second City ETC stage, Chicago. The man, the myth, the legend, Second City main stage, Chicago. EJ Cameron. EJ, welcome to the Daily.
Thank you. Good to be back, man. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time, EJ. Yeah, congratulations here from Samantha. There were a whole bunch of people that were sending in their congratulations yesterday.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, man, it's an exciting time for you. So, for people that don't know, real quick, do you want to let everybody know, kind of 30 seconds here, like what the move means to you going from Second City, Chicago, ETC to the main stage? Like, what happens here?
There's two stages at the theater. I'm on the ETC, and another one is the main stage. So if you know, like, the history of, like, people who've been there, you know, Bill Murray's been on there, Tina Fey, and et cetera, et cetera. So the main stage, they're both the same on the inside, but on the outside, the main stage is I'm being called up from NXT to the main roster.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is Vince McMahon going to change up the way you do comedy on the main sage?
I will not be Keith Lee. Hopefully I'll be a Roman Reigns. I'm hoping I'll get the
EJ Bearcat Cameron, right?
I'm going to walk out in a little skirt in a hoodie situation.
So here's
the stage lights are too hot.
You need a bondage type mask. That's what you need, EJ, for comedy.
I mean, you saw me wearing it in this past show.
I did, actually. I realized that as I was saying it. So
I was like,
anyway, and of course, Daniel Price here in the comments being negative. You're not going to Hollywood or getting a sitcom. Hey, thanks, Daniel. I think he's going to be wrong for what it's worth.
Thank you, Daniel. Is that my parent? That's somebody's parent, like, trolling. It's like, are you on Hollywood yet?
Abandon your dreams, kill your heroes, children. We got a great show planned for today. Obviously, we are live in the chat room today. I love Esteban here from YouTube. Greetings from Oddville, Florida. I didn't know that was a place, but I mean,
isn't that all of Florida?
Maybe. Well, hey, you'll be here all show, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a great show. Comment section open. Join the conversation today. We're going to talk all the news the past 24 hours in just a couple, like a minute or so. But after we talk the news, you're going to get to hear, if you're listening in audio form, my conversation with Shelton Benjamin from WWE Media Row, Royal Rumble Weekend in St. Louis. It was so cool, man. I've always wanted to just meet Shelton. I got like 8 minutes of his time to just talk to him, you know?
Oh, dude, he's great. I love him.
What would you ask Shelton Benjamin about? What do you want to know from Shelton Benjamin?
I'd ask him, like, what does he want to do?
Yeah.
Like, who is Shelton Benjamin now? I think he's so great and he should be used more. I'm sure if we watch Main Event, you'll probably see more of his matches. But, man, he was always one of my favorites, from Team Angle to the Gold Standard. Even when they had his mama, I think he has a great work style. And he was always that close.
Sure.
To just that close to the top. And I'm like, there's a story right there.
Yeah, he wants to go for the world title. He's never held the world title. He said that pretty cleanly. I didn't know until talking to Charlie Haas last week, like, the real backstory with Shelton Benjamin and Brock Lesnar. And for those that didn't catch it or check it out for whatever reason, like, you know, when Shelton was at the University of Minnesota, he was the heavyweight, heavyweight wrestler for the team. And then he was graduating. They had to find another heavyweight. And they found this kid from Oklahoma who was tossing people and hadn't signed, brought him University of Minnesota, and Shelton then trains Brock Lesnar to become the NCAA, heavyweight champion and everything that Brock Lesnar's done. And now you look at Brock, and it seems like, he leaped over his mentor there a little bit. And I don't know why we've never got to hear that story. I was very surprised how deep it went with those two.
Yeah, I remember hearing that they were signing Brock Lesnar, and he said he wouldn't sign unless they signed Benjamin as well. Like, that's the extent of that one. I knew that was, like, the backstory there, and they were a tag team, in what, OVW?
Yes, they were. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and they always tease it every time Shelton shows up with Brock. They always have like these little moments like, "Hey man, we cool," and then Brock Lesnar will suplex him.
See, but isn't this even more of a reason that they should not have broken up the Hurt Business? Because, like, as you've got all the Bobby Lashley stuff going on, why not fill out a SmackDown or a Raw with a Shelton Benjamin Brock Lesnar match? Just even if you don't want to, make it for a title, put it on pay-per-view, you have a moment or two to breathe. You could have done that on TV. I think everybody would have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, they wasted an opportunity there, and all they did was, I feel like they made Bobby Lashley look dumb. Brock Lesnar came in and like really like stomped all over his flowers, and I was like, oh man. They even showed the highlight. They were like, look at this. Bobby won with a ton of help. He technically lost, and I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, dude.
They could have done the same thing, had the Hurt Business run in. Lesnar throws both of them around, turns around, eats a spear, loses.
See, I wonder what goes down in this chamber. I'm very on the hook, right? Especially with these two. What does it look like when these two are inside of a cage together and have to throw down? I don't know.
Yeah, I want to know. I'm more intrigued. Who starts first?
Maybe they both do, right? Like, isn't Bobby Brock is the first 2 minutes in the chamber, like, kind of the most interesting way to do that? Every 2 minutes, somebody's got to come in and enter the bear fight,
Yeah, first two, last two. I like that.
Very well could be. Well, anyway, we got a whole show to fantasy book stuff. We're going to talk Mania here just a little bit. Actually, and at the end of the show, we'll go to the mailbag. Everybody's going to have a chance to do a little fantasy booking. Booker T, he was on his podcast. He said he doesn't think The Undertaker's done. He thinks Undertaker's got one more match, and he kind of hinted at it maybe being at WrestleMania next year at Dallas, Undertaker's backyard. So at the end of the show for everybody, we're just going to speculate wildly about what a potential Undertaker match in Dallas at WrestleMania next year could look like. That sounds like fun, right?
Oh, that wasn't rhetorical? Another, no.
Okay, well, hey, strap in, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for news you can use, news that will leave a bruise. And we're going to start with this year's WrestleMania right now. WrestleVotes tweeting out not long ago. We'll start with a very breaking story here. Source states the spot Shane McMahon was going to have on the WrestleMania card was to be positioned near the top. Therefore, WWE now needs a new, quote, major attraction matchup outside of the titles. This goes without saying, but the WrestleMania card is still in complete flux. It's quite amazing. Takeaways, thoughts from the current state of the build to WrestleMania?
There's nothing solidified yet ish. I guess we have Roman Brock. That's the only match, and Charlotte Ronda.
That's it. Those are our two marquee matches. I would imagine one will main event night one. I guess Ronda Charlotte night one, and then Brock Roman has to hit main event night two. It's got the biggest build.
Yeah, I reckon so. They do that thing where it opens and whatever. Anyway, my jarring thing right here is that Shane is considered a major attraction.
Right.
No, he's not. No, he's not. What happens every year around WrestleMania, he kind of like wanders in and falls into a feud with somebody. And he's going to jump off of something stupid. There's so many people on the roster. They have one of the deepest rosters of people. There's McIntyre. I know he's going to be fighting Corbin, but there's so many people that they can make a moment with a marquee match.
Sure. And look, I think that, there's 6 ways to Sunday this thing, all this stuff could go. They've booked themselves into such a predicament, in my opinion. Like, the decision to put Brock in the chamber and then make this a title versus title thing and completely remove that motivation from Raw is super interesting to me. I was like trying to think outside the box, like what could happen here. Maybe like you start the show with the men's chamber and Brock wins the title and you go to close the show with Roman and Goldberg, and maybe Brock, a la the Royal Rumble, like Roman screwed him, maybe he screws Roman, and we got Bill Goldberg walking into WrestleMania once again as WWE Universal Champion. Does that sound out of the realm of possibility to you, EJ?
What's sad is it doesn't, and right? I hate that.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. They got to hit the glass and hit the glass Goldberg, right? For the Goldberg,
And Elimination Chamber is in Saudi Arabia, right?
Elimination Chamber is in Saudi Arabia. Yes.
Yeah. Now I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I see it now.
I mean, they're just in such a like no one wins kind of situation outside of Brock and Roman. Ronda, Charlotte is set, and so like then what are the other things kind of around it? Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn has been getting quite a push. I got to give all props to Sami Zayn's social media game. His Twitter feud with Johnny Knoxville is hysterical. It is some of the best work of his career.
He's already an active tweeter, and I love that. I love this for Sami Zayn because he's such a good guy and like fights for good causes. I want to step back on something that you said earlier, and it just made my brain farted a little bit.
Sure.
Do you think that would mean if they did that, do we get the triple threat of Brock, Roman, Goldberg?
I think you do. I think you spin Roman and Brock out, and then you just have Goldberg as the other champion, and maybe you set up. We saw Goldberg Lashley, didn't we?
Yeah, and Lashley worked his leg, and Goldberg was selling his leg, and then they threatened to kill each other.
That's right. Oh, they went into the desert and did all of this. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So I guess you could run that back. I mean, does Seth Rollins Goldberg do something? Because that was rumored to be the guy that they wanted Shane to work with, right?
Seth deserves, a better matchup, I think. And, we still got Big E. He's always wanted to fight Goldberg. Big E,
hey, maybe this is the chance for Big E to step up and slap meat with Goldberg. And does Goldberg putting his career on the line at WrestleMania? Because it sounds like this is supposed to be the last match on his deal. If he won the title, goes on to do one more match, signs a one-match extension or something like that. Does Seth Rollins saying, I want to end Goldberg's career, or whatever, Edge wanting to end somebody's career, something like that? I don't know,
Yeah, if somebody does it, I would say it has to be Seth Rollins or somebody younger. And I love Seth freaking Rollins, pardon me.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of his. He cut a promo last night that made me go, Seth could win it. Seth could win the chamber.
He's on fire right now. Him and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, like, they've all got the same kind of energy going right now where they just kind of get it, right?
Yeah, he's in another gear, especially. I feel like him and Becky had a kid, and now they're both in, like, this other place. But, like, his matchup, he was pulling out moves I've never seen him use before. And I was like, this is great. I'm loving this.
And MCAS Pierce saying, Nick, you're grasping now. WWE not in a good state when it comes to top-tier matches. It's true, right? Does Alexa Bliss get spun out of her therapy sessions into something meaningful? I saw Bayley teasing maybe being the mystery entrant in the chamber. I don't know.
You know what would help? If those writers just wrote some feuds.
It's true.
That's it. Have a feud means something. Somebody's going through something, somebody else, and then you have them feud about it. And there we go. You have too many really good wrestlers. It's layup city, and it's like, well, we need Goldberg back. What? What's AJ Styles gonna do?
Yeah, that's a great question. What is AJ Styles going to do? They threatened Kevin Owens. He's not going to get a match, right? That was the threat this week.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Dellen's saying Goldberg versus McIntyre Orton at SummerSlam for the title. I don't know why SummerSlam, but McIntyre and Madcap Moss, I don't hate it, but I think we should retire the sword. The sword.
Yeah, he's got to stab somebody now.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of run its course. It seems visibly dangerous. I kind of just am done with the sword. I hope the sword goes away.
Yeah, he hasn't used it to do much. You see when Mad Cat almost ran into it? I was like, yo.
I did. I was sitting there and I was like, man, I bet they practice that spot a lot. Drew's like, I'm going to be standing right here. You got to stop right about there. But I was like, that's at your throat. I almost lost my thumb in high school in a shop incident. Like, I don't play with.
We don't need that.
So let's jump over to Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy here. So Matt took to Twitch. He said Jeff turned down the WWE Hall of Fame because it would have been a solo induction. Jeff was like, no, we're only going in if it's me and my brother. Also on the Twitch stream, he teased that Tony Khan may have bought out Jeff's contract and he could debut on AEW Dynamite tomorrow night. Who is going to debut on AEW Dynamite tomorrow night? This is a story that, look, Bischoff, others have criticized Tony for going out doing the Barnum and Bailey carnival barking, doing whatever you got to do to get people into the circus tent rigmarole. But look, hard to argue. This thing has worked. This thing has caught fire. Everybody's speculating, articles, constant talk.
Dude, it's literally what wrestling was built on, that whole carnival attraction style. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it feels like what's old is new again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need. There's some sort of mystery. There's intrigue. Everybody wants to see it. And, you know, we know it's not going to be, well, it could be Shane McMahon.
Dude, I mean, Nicholas, my plant friend here, Triple H might debut. Could be, you know, who is it here? MCASP. It's going to be Samoa Joe. That's a name I've seen floating around recently as well. You got Bray Wyatt out there. Jay White is somebody, if I guess people were buzzing about, possibly coming from New Japan. I really, really, really hope it's Mustafa Ali. I know that's completely crazy, but I hope he just breaks his independent contractor contract. Tony Khan's like, don't worry, we got to go to court over this. Let's go to court over this, because I don't think WWE would want to go to court and possibly lose a case to an independent contractor about their ability to break their contract and leave for other work if they're being denied the opportunity. I don't know that WWE would feel great in that situation. So I hope it's Ali. That's my hope. You know,
Ali would be really dope, but also WWE's petty like that. I was like, man, they would stick it out and fight just to be petty.
I don't know, man. The long-term repercussions of a court deciding their independent contractor contracts should not limit the ability for wrestlers to leave if they feel underused or want to walk on the same terms that WWE is allowed to do on their contract. I don't think they want to set that precedent. Just got to go out on a limb, but could be wrong. Anyway, so I have Leo here, Pereira. It is going to be Killer Cross. I saw a video from a signing Cross and Scarlett were doing, I guess, last night or something. And somebody was like, hey, you're going to be in St. Louis, where I guess Dynamite's going to be tomorrow night or whatever. And they were like, what? And kind of acted like they'd been caught. Seemed like a setup to me, but it got other people talking. I don't know. Cross may be the guy. Who you leaning right to?
Oh, my goodness. I don't even know, because the other day I was like, Keith Lee?
Yeah, Keith Lee. That's one a lot of people think. Yep.
I think Keith Lee would be great if he came in and just really got to tear it up and be who he is. And not just, because I feel like AEW should be better with their monsters. They're big guys. They come in and they seem big and bad and they get beaten and then they move away. And I'm like, oh, well, now I don't believe in this guy anymore.
Yeah, Lance Archer is going to be once again used in that role tomorrow night on Dynamite against
Lance Archer is exactly who I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah. Lance Archer. Wardlow's the other one, right? Like it's always on the road to the big match with MJF. You gotta beat Wardlow.
Dude, and every time I see Wardlow, I'm like, man, this guy is money.
Yeah.
Just his whole look. He looks like big Tom Hardy. Like he looks like he should be Bane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I used to do Warrior Wrestling shows with him here before he went and got signed by AEW. And just walking around in the back, you're like, that guy's a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And I love that he was only taking big indie dates like Warrior or whatever, because he was a successful car salesman before coming to AEW. And so he was only doing like on indie a month, and he was very selective about them because he was like, I just look like a wrestler. I felt like I would walk into these companies and they'd be like, wow, what took you so long? You know?
Can you imagine being like, you will buy this car? Like, yeah.
Sorry.
I will.
Atlantic City is what I was thinking about for tomorrow night. That's where they're going to be, not St. Louis. Atlantic City. It's just in St. Louis. Everything is upside down.
Or some might say screwy in St. Louis.
Yeah, very screwy in St. Louis. Very. All right. So doesn't look like it'll be Jeff, but anything could happen. And that's very cool that he stuck it out for his brother. All right. Last thing before we get to Shelton Benjamin, then we're going to talk about the Undertaker at Mania next year. Braun Breaker has accepted Dolph Ziggler's challenge for an NXT title match. No date or time, I don't believe, has been announced for this match, but it looks like Dolph is going to go down to NXT, and we're going to get Ziggler Breaker. How do you feel?
That's cool. Good for Dolph. Good for Braun. I think that's going to be, they should do that more, especially since they have so many of these like new people that are just specifically farm raised and new, and they're not so many like indie folks like there used to be. I say have him go against Dolph and have other people come down and, challenge the guy.
Dude, I wish they'd have done this so much with the NXT 1.0 crew. Like, hearing AJ Styles talk about, like, oh, it's great to go down there and be like, yeah, you know, you guys are doing it down here and you're learning, but here's what it's like to be with the main roster guy, and this is what we do differently on the main roster. Like, I feel like more of that, maybe we would have had NXT 1.0 for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you have a lot of guys that you're not using. Send them down there. They did it. They did it briefly. What was like Cesaro and Sami Zayn,
Right. Yes.
for like
did.
a little bit. Yeah, but I was expecting more of it, and then we didn't get it.
Yeah.
Let them go down there and just let them go. Like, let NXT be where the main roster people really get to like let loose. And
well, yeah, and I like that AJ went down there and he went over on Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller definitely got the rub for it. He didn't look any worse for the wear. But Dolph's go down there to lose, to put over Braun Breaker. And I love that he took this like challenge, right, or direction, and was just like, sure, I'll go down. I'll go down there. I'm going to give this kid the best match of his entire career and make him look strong. What a company!
Oh, yeah.
What a company man Dolph Ziggler is.
They're like, who's gonna bump around like crazy? Oh yeah, Dolph. He made Goldberg look like $1 million again. Yeah, let's send him out there.
Yeah, the new Goldberg. I'm sure that's the moniker Braun Breaker would love. The new Goldberg, you know?
Well, probably not. So I just shook everything. I'm like, yeah.
You never want to be the new. You don't want to be new Coke, right?
No. Oh no. And no.
You gotta be classic. All right.
You gotta be classic. You don't want to be Coke Zero.
No. You don't want to be Budweiser Select. What is that?
You remember Bud Platinum? You remember when everybody was like deep into Bud Platinum? Were you a Bud Platinum guy?
Dude, I was not a Bud Platinum. I've never been I was a Budweiser guy, I guess, like in college when I was really just starting to drink. But no, I not my fave. Not my fave.
Yo, I had my first Budweiser yesterday. Like my first in years.
Ever? Oh, for the first in years? Dude,
yeah, in years.
What'd you think? You okay with it?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah. I've been drinking like thick, heavy, like craft beers. And I was like, oh, Bud, so light.
You know that I am a craft beer like snob, and I've talked about this on the show. But when I went to St. Louis for the Rumble, like it's the home of Budweiser.
Oh yeah,
I get it, okay, but like I shouldn't just be allowed to pick, and I wasn't even allowed a Budweiser. It was a Bud Light or a Bud Select, and I was like, "What is this?" I literally had to ask what Bud Select was, and she's like, "Oh, it's like a Budweiser, but it's only 90 calories." And I was like, "I don't give me the. I'll take a Bud Light, I guess."
Which is light too, right?
I had one of those, and I sipped it for 3 hours.
Oh man, once I get to crack, I would have had like 80. I'm like, it's just water.
All right. Well, I want to thank Shelton Benjamin for joining us at Media Row and giving me that awesome interview you just heard if you're in audio form. Thank everybody else for tuning in right now. If you want to watch the Shelton interview, you go to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel now. Check it out. EJ, thank you for talking all the news. We got a little bit more to go here. We're going to dive in the mailbag. But I didn't want to just ramble about beer as we went into the Shelton interview, but I'd like to go back to beer now that the Shelton interview is out of the way. I don't know. I don't think you know this. I haven't said anything about it publicly or anything like that. So Liz and I went to a very fancy restaurant over the weekend called Moody Tongue. Have you heard of this place in Chicago?
Yes, I've heard of it. Never been.
All right. 15 course. All courses have a in-house made beer pairing for every course. I have never been so full and buzzed at the same time in my entire life after that experience at Moody Tongue this past weekend. I cannot recommend that restaurant enough if you come to Chicago or looking for a nice, fun thing to do. It is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely going to look that up and do that. Speaking of multi-course meals, I want to say last weekend I went and did a 17-course sushi dinner.
How was it awesome?
It was awesome. It's at Hotel Lincoln. It's called the Sushi Suite. It's in a hotel suite. It's amazing.
I know what it is. Me and Liz, look, we've read about it. We know what it is. We've been trying to get a room at a convenient time. It's tough to get into. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's delicious. Oh man, the chef was drunk drinking Japanese whiskey and just like plating stuff. He's like, "I'm having a great time. You're having a great time. Here you go. Boom."
Well,
amazing.
Been a little Chicago food talk here for you today in the mailbag. And with that, let's talk about The Undertaker. So today's poll question, like I said at the top of the show, stems from Booker T on his podcast. It's a great podcast, Hall of Fame podcast, saying he thinks Undertaker's got one more match in him, and he thinks it's going to go down. He hinted at next year at WrestleMania. So I asked everybody at Wink Daily over on Twitter, the place to go for the polls, if Undertaker wrestle one final match next year at WrestleMania in Dallas, who should it be against? I asked Kane, AJ Styles, Edge, or somebody else. About 400 votes here. So there is interest here. Kane with 36.5, AJ with 28.4, Edge at 19.8, and then 15.3 for someone else. So if Undertaker did one more big blowout match, like in front of everybody in Dallas, who should it be? And wait, is WrestleMania this year in Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dallas. I totally botched this question. Anyway, wait. Wait. Damn it. Should I delete it?
We're already here.
We've come this far.
Twitter doesn't have an edit button.
Damn it. It is only Tuesday. And
that was the best response. Should I delete it?
Okay. Hey, well, now I don't even
write this at asterisk this. They get it.
Want to talk about the mailbag now. All right. Well,
and remember, folks, if you winked.
Well, wait. Now this has me thinking outside the box. I'll give you my minute Jerry Springer thought here, and this largely comes from a lot of people like Sean Williams here, Undertaker Goldberg. That could be it. Undertaker Orton, Dellin. Sure, these are all great. But yeah, the end is in the beginning, EJ. Where did we start? We talking about how WrestleMania completely in flux. Anything happens, they don't have a card here. Maybe they hit the Goldberg button. Maybe Big E Goldberg. Maybe they do hit the Undertaker button. They're like, we're effed, Mark. Like, we need Undertaker in Dallas to really make this a big thing and put it all together, So
with Wallace, he would do it.
What?
I feel like he would do it.
Dude, he'd do it. He'd do it for sure. I hope he gets the double Hall of Fame and match at WrestleMania. And I would go AJ Styles to run back the Boneyard match that they didn't get to do in front of fans, because they teased there was going to be more to it. Like AJ, remember Money in the Bank was running around, he opened that door and there was the Undertaker tease and all that. Yeah. And I would have AJ beat Undertaker. Why not? In Dallas. Could do it pretty quick. Kick. Pops up, does a little forearm. Another one. He ain't hitting the Styles Clash on that big man. That ain't happening.
Yeah, no. Hopefully not. I don't think he should have another match, though. I think when you're retired, you should stay retired. Personally, I said the entrance ramp is who I want to see him go against. I love his entrance. Everybody does. In my head, you have Austin Theory come out to take a selfie in front of everybody, to have the world's biggest selfie. He comes on and says the number, the record, the door number or whatever. Gong hits, Undertaker comes out. He's like, let's take a selfie. He takes a selfie with the Undertaker, then gets chokeslammed. Boom. Everybody's happy. We've seen the Undertaker. It took up 10 minutes. That could have been a Shane McMahon match.
Sure.
And we go on about our business.
Yeah. Okay. I see that. I mean, the thing is, EJ, Undertaker is retired, right?
Yes.
But Mark Calloway is not. And so, that opens up the box for different stories you can tell. So, all right. Anyway, it's a good show. Despite that mega botch on that poll, what was I thinking?
Honestly, my highlight. Should I delete it?
It was it was a kind of slow news day on the site. I'm not going to lie. And I was kind of shuffling things around and my focus was varied. And so I apologize. I dropped the ball with the poll question today. And if you want to watch me drop the ball every day over on Twitter, you can follow at Wink Daily, WINC Daily, dumpster fire of a Twitter account. So tomorrow, come on back. I'm going to be here tomorrow with Brian Wool, another comedian. We're going to be hearing my conversation with Liv Morgan. That one's from Royal Rumble Media Row as well. Great talk. It's already up in video form over on YouTube. Support Wrestling Inc. Daily on whatever podcast platform you want. SupportWrestlingInc.com. And, of course, come back here tonight after NXT for the Wrestling Inc. podcast. It's a lot like this show. It's just at night. It's got different people, and you'll love it. So, EJ, anything you want to put over here before we wrap up the show today?
Oh, yeah, sure. Give me a follow on Twitter at EJ_Cam19. Keep it nice to everybody. The weather's getting nice, but still stay warm, stay safe, stay loving yourselves, y'all. Get some sun on your skin if you can.
Yeah, sounds great advice. You know, it's gonna be almost gonna be 40 degrees tomorrow, I'm told, EJ.
I know. I stood outside today and I sipped a cup of tea with just a hoodie on, and I was like, the sun's shining.
Oh man, Willow's getting the good walks right now. That is the good.
I might wear my coat open.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't have it open, but I had like a deep V-neck. You know, like the zip down kind of V.
Keeping it sexy.
Yeah, I gotta keep a little ventilation going. Get a little hot.
Oh, hot daddy.
All right,
Hausman.
I am at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Though I might change my handle to at Hot Hausman here. That's a good idea too. Right.
Liz will like it.
Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked,